Hey y'all, how you perking? I hope you're perking good. So, I'm JayStation versus Alexia. Who's lying here? Because you both can't be telling the truth. Your stories don't match up. We're fixing to find out. But first, as usual, I gotta say the spiel. I am a licensed mental health clinician as well as a spiritual intuitive, and in these videos, we do cover the tea with the tarot. So, these are always meant to be helpful and not hateful. So, if you're down with that, join the family here. And let's get into it, why don't we? Unless you've been living under a rock, you've heard about all of this crazy mess where JayStation came out with some YouTube videos, 3 to be exact, about the death of his girlfriend Alexia. The first video was announcing her alleged death. The second video was mourning her at a grave site that he constructed. We were led to believe that this was on the side of the road where the car accident happened, that she was struck by a drunk driver, is what we were told. And then the third video, a 3 a.m. contacting my dead girlfriend through a Ouija board. So there's been a lot of outcry about this because it has come out, not that anybody wondered really, but it has come out that Alexia is in fact not dead. She is alive. And she's had her own statements to say about all of this. So, long story short, because I'm sure you've already watched a ton of videos on this, I'm sure you've already gotten plenty of details, you've seen screenshots of God knows what. So we're just going to kind of flip through that part really fast so we can go ahead and get to trying to answer some of our questions here. But long story short, after all of this came out, allegedly Alexia left him, as in broke up with him and moved back home. And he has put out a video now that was monetized. He's getting criticism for that too, that it was monetized, him kind of coming clean to talk about the scam. And he shows police knocking at his door, that they have a warrant out for his arrest for assault with a deadly weapon, allegedly. So there's just a lot going on in this. In Alexia's video, in response to this, she claims that, yes, she did help him make some of these videos. She said, I helped him with certain things in certain videos, but I did it all out of fear. And she detailed a long history where she alleges that JayStation has been verbally abusive to her. And she also mentioned that she didn't see some of these videos in advance, didn't know about some of these videos that he made in advance, that she found out when the rest of the world found out. And she said that she was never okay with the idea, and let it be known to JayStation that she was never okay with the idea, but that she wasn't allowed to say anything to family or friends, or make a case for getting rid of this idea, ditching it altogether. So to hear her tell it, her hands were tied. So what we want to look into today, because there's a lot of things going on here, what I'm interested in finding out is Alexia telling the truth, that she only helped out with videos out of fear, she never really wanted to be a part of this, she didn't even know about some of the videos until the rest of us did? Is she telling the truth, or is she lying about that? I want to look into whether or not JayStation was ever actually abusive to her. And with this alleged warrant for his arrest, I think some people are having some questions around that, because the police came to his door, but then they had a warrant out for his arrest, but then didn't arrest him and said, turn yourself in tomorrow. And so some people are having questions about that. Obviously, you can tell by how I sound. I am not Canadian. I don't know what their legal system is up there, what the police can and can't do. So I'm wanting to look into that. Is there actually a warrant out for his arrest for assault with a deadly weapon? You know, did Alexia ever actually make a report like that? So let's get into it, y'all. Let's get into it. Here we have the cards. So first things first, we want to see, is Alexia being honest about this, or is she lying? We want to see if she had only a limited part in this and didn't really know what else was going on, and that she was against it from the start. All those kinds of claims. Let's see if that's true. See if we can find out some about that. Okay. All right. Let's put this one down. Okay. Interesting. All right. Setting a scene here. We're setting a scene. Okay. Huh. Okay. Well, this is getting to, like, usually I have to pull usually I have to pull a ton of these to kind of slowly build up a story, but right here we're kind of cutting to the chase. All right then, cards. All right then. So this is saying, you know, okay, begrudgingly, I'm planting a few seeds. I'm doing what I'm told. I'm trying to, you know, follow orders and do whatever it is that I feel like I have to do right now. And then I'm just gonna, you know, do what I'm told and wait and see what happens and see what comes of this. Then this card right here is referring to a lifestyle, a certain lifestyle built on a focus of money. So, and this would make sense to me in terms of what it seems that JayStation is about. It seems like his entire worldview, his entire focus is based on how much money he can pull in, how many views he can get, what is it that he can gain from a financial perspective. And with this card being upright, he made a lot of money off of this stunt. It was a bullshit stunt. It was disrespectful. It was wrong on so many levels, but he made a lot of money on it. And arguably is continuing to make money on it. This is saying that in regards to Alexia, since this was asking about Alexia, that she felt like her hands were tied. She didn't have the resources necessary to say no. So, though there are going to be some people that argue, technically, you could have told him no. Technically, you could have stopped this from happening, Alexia. Technically, you could have told family and friends and alerted people. You know, technically, you could have done more in this. Quit acting like such a victim. You really could have. But in her mind, because of her circumstances, it does seem like she was in a bit of a disempowered type of mindset, and really did believe her hands were tied and there wasn't anything she could do. She really felt like she was not empowered enough to be able to call the shots and say anything. So this card is permanently walking away. This is her permanently leaving the relationship based on all of this, or at least permanently leaving the situation. I'll say, I won't say the relationship, I'll say permanently leaving the situation, as in wanting to distance herself completely from having anything to do with this. The reason why I don't say permanently leaving the relationship is because right here we have the death card, but we have it in reverse. And whenever the death card is in reverse, it kind of means this isn't over. You haven't quite fully let go. And so there is still, she still has some kind of ties to this situation and to her ex-boyfriend, JayStation. So technically there is possibly more to come out of either of them slash both of them, because she's not at a point where she's completely ready to just cut everything and never have any associations with him or any of this stuff ever again. So there's some kind of a hesitancy for her to actually be done. She certainly wants to be separated from this experience completely, but it's not over. And it could mean that I do believe he mentioned that there was a YouTube channel that maybe the both of them have ownership of. It could mean that this isn't over because she's got more to do to be able to actually cut ties with him, more so than just the situation. It could mean that she has to, kind of fight the good fight to be able to get control of that channel or get that channel deleted. Otherwise, he could be continuing to make money off of her, or she might be trying to further the channel and make money, and he may still be getting some proceeds from it. So there's a lot of weird entanglements still between the two of them that's not finished yet. So she may be stepping away from ownership or involvement in this situation and trying to sign herself off of that, but she's still got some entanglements with him some kind of way, and it's not over yet. The funny thing about this card, why I laugh about this card, is usually when I'm getting the moon in reverse, it's about secrets being exposed. So this is just showing that this is a complete expose. That was what her video was about. She wanted to expose everything and say, hey guys, look at me here on camera talking to all y'all. Obviously, I'm alive and well, and I want to expose this for everything it's worth because I don't want any part of this whatsoever. And so that was her intention behind it. So looking at this, it does seem that she did feel in her mind that there wasn't anything that she could do at the time. And when she found a way to get out and make it right, she took that opportunity and started exposing. So from the cards here, I do believe her with what she said. So we're going to go ahead. That's probably the shortest I've ever pulled for cards on a situation before. We're going to go ahead and ask the cards about one of these other questions that we have, because some of these other questions might be a little bit more of a doozy. So we'll see. The next question I want to look into was JayStation ever actually abusive to his ex? So, was Alexia ever actually abused by JayStation? And when I say abused, I mean abuse in all its forms. So I'm talking verbal abuse, emotional abuse, mental abuse, you name it. So let's see. Here we go, we get this card again, but only in the opposite position. This time it's upright instead of reverse, so interesting. Okay. And here we go with the death card this time, and y'all saw me shuffle. But it's upright position now. Okay. Alright, so this is interesting. what I'm getting from this is they started off strong in a relationship that the both of them felt really good about. It seemed like a strong start in terms of both of them being fairly emotionally attached to each other. Although they did kind of, this seems, rush into things. Meaning that they allowed their lives to get codependent and entangled relatively quickly, in terms of this wasn't a very developed, mature, rooted relationship before that stuff started happening. So the interesting part here is with this card and this card, it looks like they had that kind of on again, off again vibe. And what I say when I say that, what I mean is, do you know, in problematic, unhealthy, toxic relationships, when people are like, I hate you, don't leave me, you know, that kind of a vibe. I'm getting that kind of a vibe from this, where it was like, it was a weird toxic relationship where there was separation and fighting and threats of the relationship ending, but yet this is the commitment card. So they stayed committed to their own toxic cycles. They stayed committed to their own toxicity. And the funny thing is, which, I mean, I say funny, meaning interested, because it isn't fucking funny, is that regardless of what they say, a lot of why they stayed together was because of the money. Because of the money. So they had a very strained, weird, toxic, unhealthy, on again, off again kind of thing, where they probably threatened each other with breakups often, had that conversation often, but never actually went with it, stayed committed anyway, and they stayed committed for the money. So let's see if we can get some more information on it. Okay. Snap. Snap. All right. Wow. Okay, so, interesting. These two cards right here next to each other are saying that Alexia never really felt like she got to do the right kind of work. So here is somebody working and doing all the work but not getting the credit for it. And when we're saying, okay, who's doing all the work and not getting the credit for it, here we have a female, and her card is in reversed, because the Empress card upright would stand for somebody who is strongly independent and, you know, like empowered and doing their own thing. When it's in reverse, it's someone who's, you know, got a bit of, I don't want to call it weakness, but feels less empowered, a little more insecure, those kinds of vibes. And so she was never really able to move forward with anything. She was carrying a lot of the burden on herself. She felt like she had to be the one to put up with the workload, as well as put up with heartbreak, because we just saw in the previous set of cards the toxic relationship. She had to put up with the heavy load, the workload, and with the emotional issues, and she felt like she had to put up with that but didn't get much out of it. So it's interesting about, you know, it's interesting in relationship dynamics like that, how you see people be like, but I love him, and we were so good together, and things were just so great, and it's because in dynamics like that, things end up being so great, or feeling so great, and you feel like you have such a strong connection that when things start to go bad, here you have that memory, and you keep referring back to that as, but that's, you know, there's a potential that it could be that again, because now you have that potential. You know it's happened once, you know it's capable of happening again, so you just stay in it, swearing and hoping that it will come back to that again, but it never does. And it seems like she was just holding on, putting up with a lot of workload issues and emotional issues, and just for it to not pay off. I mean, look at this. This is putting up with somebody, like, this person has a bandage around their head because it's somebody that's like been badly beaten. I say that figuratively, but still standing. So this isn't looking good for JayStation in terms of that. Okay, come on. Huh. Whoop. Okay. Yep. Here we go again. We see that card again, but only this time it's the opposite way. So here we see her. She's trying to be a good, like, she's trying to be the good girlfriend, doing all the stuff she's supposed to do. She feels like he's supposed to be her knight in shining armor, but what actually happens in her reality is everything's crumbling down. This is the Tower card, and when it's in reverse, it's not talking about actual crumbling down in your life. It's talking about internally. That her internal life, everything is just crumbling down to her in a mental and emotional way, and she's like, what the hell, I thought I had something here. And so this is kind of the boredom card, which we can attribute to JayStation, because this card is keeping secrets. So it's like he's hiding things from her, expecting these certain things from her, but he wasn't that good himself. I wouldn't be surprised if in all of him, being a shitty boyfriend to her, that he was probably hiding some secrets, like possibly cheating and things like that from her. And the King of Swords in reverse certainly suggests, this actually could suggest two things. Let me pull some more cards. Okay, so, all right, I think I know which one this one's suggesting. So this can actually suggest somebody who is not clear in the head. They're not clear-minded. Their judgment is cloudy. Things are getting in the way of their actual judgment. And I see that as being a contributing factor to a lot of the things that we just saw here. So, with this is saying that this is kind of a good luck omen in terms of Alexia, that she, I think, is going to be able to somehow salvage her reputation from this. There are going to be things that come out that look a bit damning to her, but people are going to believe that she was doing it based on coercion and based on a hostile environment. And so I don't think that she's going to lose any kinds of business opportunities or anything like that. As a result of this, the Lover's card upright can oftentimes stand for good contracts in good standing, things like that. And the Strength card is upright for her. So this was a strong move for her to make. It looks like it was a good thing for her to separate from this relationship. So it does look like he was a very oppressive energy in their relationship, that he did abuse his power in the relationship. He did force her to do a lot of the work without getting the recognition and what was due based on that. It does look like he was doing unhealthy things, hiding secrets and doing unhealthy things in the relationship that he was keeping from her. Again, I think, in here he probably had some impropriety, if we're gonna call it that. So yeah, this is pretty clear that he did have very toxic, unhealthy components in their relationship. I wouldn't be surprised if we find out more about in what ways the relationship was not working out so well for her, and in what ways he was doing things that are shady and reprehensible. So that doesn't look good for him either. But I still have one thing I'm curious about. And I know this video is 24 minutes long, so that's why I'm kind of speeding through all this. Sorry, y'all. I'm just trying to get through a lot of questions in one. But I have written down here, I did write it down because I was like, ooh, I want to remember these questions. About this alleged warrant and facing charges for assault with a deadly weapon. Well, it didn't say deadly weapon, it said with a weapon. And that there's a warrant out for his arrest, and that the police came to his home but didn't arrest him, and all of that. Like, what is all of that going on? And is that real? Is that more fakeness that he's doing, like, for sympathy? You know, what is all that? So we're about to take a look into that. All right, so let's see. It's funny that here we go again. I swear, we're getting similar cards, as in the same cards in different positions in all of these readings because they're all connected. So we get the same cards. Okay, we get the same cards coming up all the time because they're connected. All right, woo. So, wow. The quick and dirty of what this is saying already, before I even get into the details, is, you know that phrase, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself? He's wrecked himself. He's wrecked himself good, y'all. Okay, so with the High Priestess card, this can mean a lot of different things, but where it is here in context with the other cards is that this is a card to say we're bringing some light, shedding light onto the situation, bringing some honesty into the situation, bringing some truth into the situation. Things are going to continue to be exposed. So there are things he's still hiding from us, and we're gonna find out more. And since my question was about this warrant, it leads me to believe that either there is no actual warrant and there's just allegations, or there's none of the above, and those weren't even real cops that came by his place. You know, like, it could literally be that much, that severe. So either way, I don't believe that there's a full-on warrant out for his arrest. With this card being here and these, I don't believe it. This card is saying, and I hate to say it, but this card is saying that he's a liar and that he's hiding things and that he's going to continue to just get exposed for his bullshit behavior. This is the devil card, y'all. And when I, listen, to just tell you how serious this is, I have done 3 videos on Onision and multiple readings within each of those videos. And neither Onision nor Kai ever got the devil card pulled in their reading. They didn't, but he did. And I'm not calling him the devil, but what I'm saying is he knows right from wrong, and he knows how to willfully ignore it because what he cares about is the money. This is showing someone, so when you get the devil card sometimes, especially as it is in this reading, this is somebody that is so addicted to the money and the fame and the fortune and the you know, girls and the this and the that and the attention, like somebody who's so addicted to all the wrong things in life. You know what I mean? Sound like an old timer, but you know what I mean? That he's so addicted to that he's way out of balance, way out of whack. His compass is pointing due south instead of north. You know, he's messed up thick, like deep in it. This is a card that says, all right, what you need to do And meaning you as in I'm JayStation, what you need to do is you need to take a really long pause and a really deep rest and do some major soul searching, because you have a choice to make between two different options here. You can decide to continue to go down this path and keep wrecking yourself, or you can decide to turn it all around and start to actually play above grade. You know, this though is what worries me. The King of Pentacles upright, that's the King Midas card, man. That's everything you touch turns to gold. This is in reverse. Everything he touches is going to wither and die and turn to shit. And it's doing that. I mean, that's what's happening. That's what's happening. And he's bringing it all on himself. Woo! Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I'm just saying. Ooh, come on. Yep. So, here we have the tower, but we have the tower upright this time. And when we see the tower upright, it means your world's crumbling down in a very literal, tangible sense. This is not necessarily just an internal crumbling. This means, no, seriously, bruh, your world is crumbling down before you. Everything that you built up to have what you have is all coming down. Things are not going to go well. Things are going to go very, very poorly. This is somebody who's been in a fight and they're not getting back up from it. Like, this is somebody who, when they lose, they lose. You know, this is not good. This card is saying you built a fantasy. You made a world and built a fantasy and built a world off of lies. And that's why it's going to crumble, because we can't build a palace of lies without it crumbling down. And y'all have heard me say it in other videos on this channel. If you've been on here before, 2020 energy is about redefining our lives, and it's about cutting through the bullshit, and people are not going to be able to get away with the stuff that they used to be able to get away with in 2020. Stuff is going to come undone if you're going to keep trying to live that way in 2020. It ain't going to work. You're not going to be able to be like that. This is saying that he's going to lose relationships based on this. This card is usually a decent card, but here what we're looking at is that it's called the Fool. This is the Fool card. And it's, you know, usually it doesn't mean literally, but in this case we're talking literally. You are being a fool right here. Dude, you have. This card is the card of somebody who is very miserly, somebody very greedy. I mean, look at this man grabbing onto his coin, being like, my precious. You know, this is freaking Gollum here. This is Gollum here. So, he's wrecking himself. He's legit wrecking himself right now. Wow. Yep. Okay, so he's waiting for his ships to come in. They're never going to come in. This is Alexia. This is a very unhappy home, not a happily ever after, the exact opposite of that. So that's what this is talking about, because obviously we know where their relationship stands. It's not in a good place right now. It's basically non-existent right now. This is somebody who cares so much about their career, but yet they're so immature that they can't get there. This is what he wants. He wants to be able to get there and be the one to bring home the coin, but he's too immature. The Wheel of Fortune in reverse is like, dude, this is bad luck. You know, this is a bad situation and you're going to experience some really bad luck. And we see that he's created a lot of this of his own doing. He needs to be careful, because he doesn't want to create things that aren't even there. Like he's saying, you know, those first cards down here that made it seem like this isn't quite what he's portraying it as, about having a warrant out for his arrest, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was only allegations, or I wouldn't be surprised if it was just completely made up altogether. He needs to be careful that he doesn't do things in such a way that he gets himself in actual legal trouble, because he could be joking about it and then wind up in actual legal trouble. Like, he's wrecking himself, y'all. He's wrecking himself. I don't know how many more cards I can pull that talk about, you know, somebody wrecking themselves. I don't know. So, let's see. Yep. So, here we go again, just kind of going. We're just at a point where we're repeating now. We're at a point where we're repeating. And so these are all the good things about the ambition and trying to charge ahead in terms of Alexia trying to take a new lease on things, trying to be, you know, more level-headed and see what's out there. You know, the world is your oyster kind of a thing. So I think she is going to be able to redeem herself from this and come back from this. But I don't see the same for JayStation. I think that he really hit himself hard on this in a way that's going to have some lasting repercussions, and it doesn't look good. Just as some, you know, because why not? Just as some quick advice to him, although we already see what the advice is to him. The advice is quit wrecking yourself. You know, how about do something with a little bit of dignity and integrity, and maybe it would pay off better for you. That's kind of the advice that it's given him. But just because it looks like he really needs it. Yeah, so the advice is try to pick yourself up from this. Try to pick yourself up. Try to, you know, actually do right to make up for things, because otherwise all you're doing is causing more conflict and more problems, and you really don't want that. At the end of the day, all you're going to do is end yourself. Like, look at this. You're just going to end yourself if you don't cut it out. Like that, and with this card, just in case, because sometimes it means watch your back. So not only don't be doing things that ends yourself, ends your own career, but also you've planted enough negative seeds that now you probably ought to watch your back, because there are probably people who are angry enough with you that they are out to assist you in destroying your career. So I would be careful of that kind of stuff too, if I were him. So anywho, all of this was alleged, of course. Everything that we talked about is just allegedly. This is just entertainment pulling cards, even if I've had a considerable amount of stuff starting to come true. Still, this is just alleged. Take it for what you will. If you want a reading of your own personal private reading, just hit me up at my email. It's down below. I do those. My dog just totally wiped his ass on the floor right here. Come here. Bodhi says hello. Bodhi says hello to everyone. So Bodhi, tell people that if they haven't yet, to like and subscribe to these videos so that they can see more things come true over the course of 2020. Yeah? Gonna tell them that? And tell them, all right, bye, love you, bye. Oh, we're gonna yawn. Oh, goodness, we're gonna yawn. Okay, bye, y'all.